Hello, welcome to this lesson of our study of calculus 1, specifically in functions. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe to support the channel also. Okay, in this lesson we'll go through the range of a function as we did in their domain. Okay, all right. So given a function f of x, the range of f of x is all possible values of f of x we can get. Okay, so here should be 1 when we plug all the domain inside the function. Okay, so this is what we just mean. Say I have a function f of x equals s squared plus 1, and I tell you that the range is such that x is equal to 1 and 0. Sorry, the domain is this. Okay, then it means that f of 0 will be equal to what? 0 squared, which is 0 plus 1, and that is 1. F of 1 will be equal to 1 squared, which is 1 plus 1, that is 2. Okay, so when you are done putting all the values of the domain inside the function, then the set of the values that we'll get, that is f of 0 gave us what? 1. F of 1 gave us 2. So it means the range will be equal to this set. Okay, all the possible values that we can get after putting or plugging in all our domain inside the function. Okay, so very simple like that. Okay, let's go ahead and take an example and find the range. Okay, so find the range of the function f of s equals this. Now, to be able to find the range of this function, what we can do is we can actually find a domain. Okay, and see if the domain is having an ending. Okay, if it is not an interval, it can be an interval having inclusive ending, then we can use those inclusive endings to find the range. Sometimes too, we can have an interval which does not have an inclusive ending, then with that we'll have to just leave it like that. Okay, so let's look at this. Now, first of all, you should find the domain, like I said. So you should know the interval that the domain is happening. Okay, so with this function, okay, 4 minus s squared is only defined when this is greater than or equal to 0, because there's no fraction here. Okay, now with this, what you can do is you can get negative s squared. If I square both sides, I'll get this negative 4. When I divide through by negative 1, I'll get s squared is less than or equal to 4. It means x is less than or equal to plus or minus 2. Okay, so what you can do is actually sometimes you just take away the less than or the square root, the less than or the greater than sign. Okay, and just equate it to 0. And after that, you test and see if 1 should be greater than or 1 should be less than. Okay, that will be the best way for you to solve. Okay, sometimes after finding the solution, you see that some of them should be less than, others should be greater than. Okay, so like this. Now, since we have this, you have to ask yourself, when x is equal to 2, okay, what will happen? When x is equal to 2, it means that this will actually give us 0. Okay, and when it's equal to negative 2, this is what we've got, and you will get 0 as well. Now let's look at when x is greater than 2. When x is greater than 2, we'll get something like 4 minus something like 3. It will be 3 squared, which is 9, and this will give us a negative answer. Okay, of which the square root of a negative answer does not exist in real numbers. Okay, so it means that it wouldn't be defined when x is greater than negative 2. What if x is less than negative 2? Okay, when x is less, so it means that x shouldn't be greater than 2. It means x should be what? When it's not greater than 2, then automatically it should be less than 2. Okay, for it to be defined. What if x is how do I call it, less than negative 2, meaning negative 3 going? Okay, negative 3, negative 4, because we have x equals negative 2 that we know is defined. But what if it is less than that? When it is less than negative 2, it means we have negative 3, and that will give us what? 4 minus negative 3 squared, and that will give us negative 5. The square root of negative 5 does not exist as well, so it means x should also be what? Greater than negative 2. So that will be the x should be greater than -2. So that will be the domain for this function to be defined. That will be the domain. Okay, so let's go ahead and write the domain. So the domain is this: x is within this range, -2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to, sorry, -2, yeah, that is okay, like this. Okay, so x should be greater than -2 or equal to -2, because this works and this also works, so it should be this or that. Okay, now you can combine it and write it like this, the domain. Or if you want a square bracket form, it should be this, then 2 in a square bracket, inclusive. Okay, meaning that these are the inclusive. It means the domain is -2, -2.1. Since we have negative and a positive, means 0 is part. Okay, so let's look at the highest value this function f of x can attain. F of x equals what? 2 into square root of 4 minus s squared minus 3. Now when the whole of this equals 0, that is when it is x is either 2 or -2, then we'll get 0. Okay, so f of 2 or f of -2 will give us what? 2 into 0 minus 3, which will give me -3. Okay, what if x equals 0? So when x equals 0, what will happen? I'll have f of 0 is equal to 2 into square root of 4, because x will be 0, minus 3, and this will be 2 times 2 minus 3. That will give me what? 2 times 2 minus 3 will give me what? 4. Sorry, will give me 1, because 2 times 2 is what? 4. And minus 3 will give me what? 1. Okay, so with this, it means any other value I pick will give me a smaller number other than 1. You can go ahead and pick something like s equals 1 and see. Okay, you get a smaller number than this. Either you get negative or very small number. Okay, it means the largest value of this f of x, when you put in all the domain, is this, and the smallest is this. Okay, so the range will be, the range is this. Very simple like that. So it's f of x is such that f of x belongs to, now I have what is inclusive. Okay, so it should be this, -3, 1 inclusive. Or you can write it like this: -3 less than or equal to f of x less than or equal to 1. You are done. That is the range. Okay, all right, so thank you, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. Okay.